All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my land stream number three. My name is Brybro, aka Bryant's, and today's a special stream that we got. We got our very own Cryptomancer. I believe he's one of the OGs of Splinterlands developers, and we're gonna have a nice little discussion on land. And if you may not know, I think between the two of us, um, definitely in the top five holdings, I think for land. So I'm hoping we get into some kind of very insightful discussions here and people start to kind of see our viewpoints on where we're at and what we're looking forward to. So, Cryptomancer, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks for having me here today. So, as many of you know, I'm one of the core developers for Splinterlands. Been with the company for a bit more than 2 years now, and I've been involved in some way or another on most of the major feature build outs over the last couple of years. Lately, I'm finishing up the Modern and Wild project, and then after that, we'll see. Really looking forward to Lands and excited to be here talking about it with you today.
I think everyone's excited to hear from you as well. So, I do kind of want to go into a little bit more of your whole background. So, have you been with Splinterlands since it first started?
And not since it very first started. Originally, I was a player before I became a team member. And then Agrod and Matt found out that I was a developer and they were looking to hire and expand. And they offered me a job at Splinterlands. And it was a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to work on video games and I have a passion for blockchain. So everything kind of clicked into place. And I've been with the company since early 2020.
Nice. That's awesome. Kind of sounds like my story, but I have not had as big of an impact as you. So I'm glad they found you because I mean between you and I think Melon Man, who I think was just introduced as past town hall, I believe when I think of like OG developers, I remember I think it was mainly you too. I'm sure there's a couple others, but I know everyone's been kind of gotten picked up since. So it's cool to have you. So you have been here since almost the beginning, but you were here before the whole land concept was introduced. I guess should we start with? Do you mind revealing, I guess, what your land holdings are?
Sure. So I have a lot of land. I have three entire regions and then a scattering of additional plots on top of that.
That's crazy. So like I said when I first started, I think between the two of us, I again I don't know if we have like the most holdings or what. That part doesn't really matter, but just the fact that Cryptomancer has three regions, which I think is the most as an individual. I got two regions, a couple tracks too. So I think it's gonna be awesome once we actually get these final land details. If you hear our strategy points and what we target and everything, because I think everyone can kind of learn, what we're doing at kind of like the top of trying to manage everything and compare that to what everyone else wants to do. So with that being said, I guess let me ask: have you sold any land since you originally bought it?
I sold a few plots here and there as the value started to increase. I think plots got close to $1,000 at one point, and I sold some like 600, 700, and just couldn't resist. But just a tiny amount. Most of my land I've been holding. When the pre-sale came out, I just kind of knew that land was going to be a big thing, and I couldn't get enough of it, so I just grabbed as much as I could when I could.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are kind of kicking ourselves for not buying more when we could. And I mean, even at three regions, I'm sure there's been thoughts of potentially wanting to buy more back then. So it's interesting. Were you part of the team when they did kind of create the whole concept of land?
Yeah, I was on the team then, but I've never really been involved in the land planning or anything myself.
Got it.
So um, I mostly learned about all the benefits of land and stuff at the same time as you guys did when it was revealed to the public. Splinterlands kind of compartmentalizes information internally. So it's kind of like on a need to know basis. And I didn't need to know at the time. I'm hoping to get involved in land development as we get further into the project. So at some point, it would be great to work on it directly. But until now, I've been mostly on other projects.
Yeah, and I can speak to that too, because even with like the current land development, I mean, myself, I haven't learned anything about it or what's kind of going on other than what they've been announcing during the town halls. And I know you've been busy with Modern and Wild, so between us, probably no new news there. We're not looking to reveal anything, so we don't even know anything ourselves. But I do remember a few town halls back. Matt did say that he wants you to definitely work on the land development once we get past this Modern and Wild. So it'll be interesting to have you on there because I've seen all your experience with brawls and everything, gladiators, just everything you've done. And I think that's what makes everyone's looking forward to land that much more because you'll be on it. Um, with that being said, though, too, so what makes you the most excited for land? Why did you buy so much during the pre-sale?
For me, it's the potential empire building aspects. So growing up, I've always been a big fan of the Civilization games. Absolutely loved all the Civ games, and really enjoyed 4X strategy games in general. And I think we're going to see a lot of inspiration from those games when Land comes out. Um, so I'm looking forward to kind of growing my kingdom and building things and generating resources by and seeing how all of that those aspects get integrated into Splinterlands.
So do you foresee? Are you going to try to deal with land all on your own? Are you going to be renting a lot of it out, or I guess what's your take on that?
I think my holdings are vast enough that it's going to be very difficult to manage it entirely myself, especially given my time constraints. I only have a limited amount of time to play the game since I'm usually building the game instead. So I'll probably try to manage a small part of it myself just for the fun of giving it a try and seeing how it goes. But the
Sure.
majority of it, I'll probably either get some people to manage it for me or I'll rent it out to others.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same thought process there. Not really sure. I guess we'll have to see once it comes out. How much time it does take to even manage one tracks, for instance, compared to one region, multiple regions on and all that. So it'll be
I'm guessing
interesting to see
it'll
how that
be
pans out. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm guessing it'll be quite a lot of micromanagement if you want to maximize the efficiency of everything. So what I'm really hoping is that we'll have some automated tools developed to assist with that, and that you'll be able to manage multiple pieces of land simultaneously rather than having to do everything one by one, which would be really tedious. So we're
Yeah,
going to need to look at the whole UX experience and how to make that management process as painless as possible because we want it to be fun. We don't want it to
yep.
feel like a chore that you have to do every day.
I mean, it could be my full time job. I would not be that mad if that's what it turned into. So
I would not be surprised to get the most out of it.
yeah. Do you imagine some of that functionality kind of being in the first phase, or like the first phase of functionality? Or do you think, we'll probably have the MVP just to get it out and then that may get built on later down the road?
So I think we're going to be releasing things piecemeal in a phase by phase process. And the first phase is just being able to claim your land plots and see where your land is on the map. So that's what we're concentrating on right now. I don't think in that phase that you're going to need to actively manage your land at that point. So first, you just figure out where it is on the map, and you'll be able to buy and sell land plots in the non-card market. Um, so that's the first step. And then after that, when we get into the second phase, then you're going to see things like the production starting up and the land actually generating resources. And that's when the management aspects are going to come more into play. And a lot of that is still up in the air at this point. So we're concentrating on the first phase and not worrying quite so much about what's going to come next at this point.
Yep, I'm gonna quickly transition to kind of sharing the screen. So, what Cryptomancer just touched on was basically the roadmap that you'll see now, and this is a roadmap version 2 that I believe Hardpoint released about a month ago. And you can kind of see, I guess, where we're at. So, just to touch on, non-card market is kind of, I know Aggroed and Matt has been saying that that's the first step to really get land kind of out the door, because that's going to allow all our current claims to be sold like within the game. Because right now it's all kind of only on Hive Engine, Travel Deck, stuff like that. So once we get through that, then hopefully land phase one is right around the corner, which will be the reveal. Which I don't know. That I guess that so we kind of have some rumors that just about location, if location matters, if we want to, if people want all their plots, regions, tracks all together. Have you given any thought on that, on whether you're going to try to get all your regions and tracks together, or are you going to try to cover more of the continent, or what?
So that is a big strategic decision that people are going to need to make right off the bat, um, because we want the map to look kind of like a real map, right? With
Yep.
its own separate geographic regions and areas and terrain. We don't want it to be just all jumbled together like a big chaotic mess. So there will be some kind of smoothness and continuity, um, different biomes, if you will, on the map. So if you claim, if you have a lot of land and you claim it all at once, the land will be all together in a big chunk, but maybe you won't have so much diversity of terrain within that land. Like maybe you claim all your land and it happens to be in mostly a desert area, maybe a bit of forest on the fringes or whatnot. So you might not necessarily have every single land type represented in your land. Whereas an alternate strategy is to claim your land a little bit at a time as the map slowly gets revealed. And then you'll end up with a little bit of land here, a little bit of land there, a little bit over here in different areas. And that might give you a bit more geographic diversity if you're trying to get land from all of the different biomes that are available. And it's hard to say which strategy will be more beneficial at this point. I mean, I think it comes down to, do you want to specialize in one type of resource production, or do you want to kind of go all out and do a little bit of everything? And I'm still on the fence about that myself at this point. I haven't really decided yet. So I think I'm going to wait a little bit more until we get closer to the actual um, land claiming being released. I probably won't decide until the actual last minute. I've been going back and forth on it a lot, really. It's a tough
Probably not
call.
until the day of reveal.
Yeah, maybe not.
I do want to clarify, and I'm not sure if you actually know for sure or not, but so like when that reveal process happens, is it going to be like if you were to claim the very first plot, you may be like you'd actually get plot number one, and then it builds it from like top to bottom, or is it just going to be a randomly kind of reveal process where you could be located anywhere within Pretoria, no matter when you reveal it, if that makes sense? So is it gonna be, like, in sequential order, or is it just gonna be completely random until completely, everything's revealed?
The exact nature of the algorithm for doing the claiming has not been entirely worked out yet, so it's still a bit up in the air. My guess is that it will be sequential, that you'll just get whatever the next land chunk is that's available, um, and it will just assign them in the order that people claim them.
Okay. And I just asked that 'cause that just kinda makes the whole, reveal process, a little bit more critical in terms of when you reveal. Because people always wondered if, there's a few plots that weren't, claimed or revealed, if that could leave potentially, like, a keep or a castle left, but I don't know. If it's not as random and it's more of just like, 1 through 150,000, um, you may want to get in before it's too late. So again, it'll
Oh,
be
the
interesting.
location, let me clarify that a bit. I think the location of the land would be sequential. It'll just take the next piece on the map and dole them out one by one.
Yep,
But the stuff that's on that land is still going to be quite randomized. So I don't think it will be determined beforehand exactly where the keeps and the castles are. So
sure.
that will be a big surprise where those end up being.
Yeah, again, it's mainly speculation right now. Hopefully, down the road, we'll have a few more streams with a few more details, and we can go into that a little more in depth. But yeah, based off what we know right now, I'm kind of along the same. I think I'll probably end up just claiming all at once. Because I'm kind of on the page that I think once we can reveal and people can actually start splitting their tracks and regions into individual plots. I do foresee some people offloading, and I think that may be the perfect opportunity to kind of expand your variety. And if you're only covering a certain amount of resources, and that's your time to get in on all those other resources. So again, that'll probably change, but it's always great to hear other people's points. Because I think it'll also be cool just to see like both my regions together on the map. So if someone's viewing it, you just see kind of like the big old empire, like Brybro Empire.
Yeah,
um,
that's one nice point too.
yeah,
That kind of appeals to me as well. You have your whole giant empire all together there.
as long as I'm next to you, because then mine won't feel as big. But I think that would be kind of cool because they did, I think, mention that we may be able to kind of give our regions nicknames too, or kind of label, that just that whole area on the map.
That's
So
what I'm hoping for. I mean, I don't think that's entirely set in stone yet either, but I really want that to be possible myself.
yeah, um, we'll get into that probably a little bit later when I show the cards that Nate uh, did as eye candy in the last town hall. But again, it's all speculation, but that's kind of what they're hinting at, I believe. So really looking forward to that. I did have a question that we kind of skipped over when we're talking kind of about like your introduction and being here since the whole pre-sale and everything. Do you want to touch on how like the original concept of land has changed over time? So the pre-sale, if I can pull this up real quick, I believe the pre-sale for land was early November of 2020. So I think we're about 20 months out since pre-sale. So since that date, and your whole like experience of being with the team and community and how the game's grown, how has that original concept of land kind of grown into what the team is trying to like tackle right now?
So I think the most of the original concepts themselves remain the same in terms of what we initially wanted to accomplish. Everything that's detailed in that initial pre-sale post about the items and the spells and the totems and the land resources and all that, none of that has changed. That's all the same. But I think what has changed is kind of the scope of the original vision, the presentation of how it's all going to look. Um, with a bigger team, we can add a lot more polish to the visual elements, um, a lot more AAA qualities, if you want to call it that. And also, I think having a bigger team allows greater room to expand the core ideas. So we know what we want to do for land initially. That's been laid out, but we also want to expand it in lots of different directions. I think it was mentioned on one of the town halls that boss fights will figure into land somehow. Like maybe there will be some special areas of the map where the bosses live, and you have to go there and fight them. um, I also want to see more PvE aspects being introduced.
Hmm.
So you can imagine things like quests, or going into dungeons and fighting groups of monsters, all sorts of cool things. And um, since we have more dev resources to work with, we can bring those things to you faster. Uh, and maybe we'll be able to do more than we originally thought possible. So the original vision, the original roadmap is still the same, but we're going to be able to polish it a lot more and bring expansions quicker. is how I think of it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And just to be clear, there's only 150,000 plots in Pretoria, and the team has no plans on introducing any more. Is that your same thought? Is that can you confirm that?
Yep, yep, and that's right. So I don't want to say that we will never ever in the history of the game introduce more land, because I mean we could, but we have no plans to do so anytime soon, and I think we would not do so unless there was some real need for it, or if there was like a vote from the player controlled DAO or something that said they wanted more land. So right now, I would not anticipate any more land anytime soon.
Yeah, I would not count on it either. So, just with that all being said, I think it's awesome because we're still in we're in this very early. Um, so if you have land right now, I'd consider yourself lucky. Because again, I mean, it used to be like a simple concept. I think you'd get land, harvest it, create items, and use those items. But if you guys haven't been paying attention to everything that's been kind of discussed about land and what the team's vision is for it, I think it's going to be massive. It's going to be like its own game. I know I previously just joked that land would be like my new job, but honestly, it could be. So it'll be very interesting. I think it's exciting to kind of hear how it's grown and how it continues to grow. Because I do want to touch on the Chuny left a comment about traveling between lands, and I know that's definitely not going to be something that's introduced within the first two phases that are on the roadmap. But I think that's one of those kind of expansions that you were touching on. That could be something that gets introduced as well, some type of like traveling across land, especially with boss monsters. You have to actually travel to it to be able to fight. I'm not sure. Now, I'd imagine though, if you're traveling on your land, it either speed up that travel, excuse me, or there could be like tolls, fees to cross, certain borders, and I'd imagine traveling your land's just going to be better than traveling on someone else's. So, again, don't really know the full details, but I think just the possibilities and opportunities are quite endless once you get all these couple phases out and just the whole fundamentals. So super excited for that. So
I
yeah,
would like
Zach.
to say
Oh,
regarding traveling, that's definitely something that's been talked about. I hear that idea floating around and coming up every now and then. Um, when I think of traveling, I think more like moving resources around, like having trade caravans going from city to city.
yeah,
So maybe one particular region is rich in a certain resource and another region lacks it. So if you have a surplus of resources, maybe you could send them on trade caravans to your neighbors to boost their production, and then maybe get a little bit of bonus for a trade bonus for doing so, things like that. That would be a really neat aspect to see.
yeah, and hopefully you'll have to craft those caravans too, and that's just another NFT that
Yep.
you need. Yeah, that's like what's crazy because I think everything is like you'll be able to build with the resources on land. And again, all this is going to the landowners, not to like the Splinterlands company at all. Um, so it's crazy once you kind of continue thinking about it.
Yeah,
With that,
that's one other thing that I'd like to bring up since you mentioned it. Um, all of the resources and land and everything that we build up on our accounts, we don't get any special perks for being team members or anything. So we have to invest just like you guys do if we want to benefit from it. That's
yeah,
one of the
and
nice things I like about Splinterlands, that everything is very fair that way.
well, and as like a player too, I think that's cool to see that the team members themselves are buying into what they're creating because that kind of shows that they believe in it, and it's not they're just creating something for because they have to. I think it's the whole fact that you're creating something that you actually want to see. You think it's gonna be awesome and uh, play with. So that's what I thought was cool too because we talked to Matt on the last stream that was about like a month ago, but I'm pretty sure he has a region that he bought. And I know as we continue to grow as a team too, I know a lot of the new team members have been asking about how to acquire land or how to buy it. It'd be kind of cool to see what the land holdings were per team member and how that's like grown and how it continues to grow, because I think it kind of again just builds that whole sentiment of how exciting and what everyone's looking forward to with land. But I'm not sure we can do that. That's not really too big of a deal. But I like it, and I think as I continue to have more guests on, some more team members, which I do want, like Hardpoint and Chatter. I know they're one of the big hype guys that started with nothing. I'm curious where they're at right now too. But someday we'll have that. I do want to touch on strategy if we can. So again, I know we're a few months out until we even get to the reveal, but I think once we even get to that point, we're gonna look back and just think of how quickly it came and how we may not have like had enough time to prepare for this full release and full functionality. So, with that being said, have you taken any steps to kind of start preparing for the actual functionality, whether that's with workers, uh, totems? I don't know if that's something that you've looked at or focused on either. I'm sure you've probably pulled a fair amount. But what's your thoughts on that?
Um, so yeah, I have done a little bit of preparation. Totems, I got plenty from the raffle tickets that were one of the pre-sale benefits. So I haven't really purchased any additional ones, but I haven't been selling any either. I'm just holding on to them. Um, and I have been acquiring a lot of cards slowly because I know that we're going to be needing lots of workers. And I'm not sure exactly what kind of cards are going to be the best for that. And probably it will be different cards will be good for different types of land. So you're going to want to have a little bit of everything, I would guess. So um, I've been building up since the Untamed days, just gradually acquiring tons of common cards in particular. I've been going for as much quantity as I can get in the commons. I have several thousand gelatinous cubes, for instance. So I'm going to be swarming my lands with cubes, seeing if slimes make good workers. I don't know if they will, but we'll see. And there's other cards that I've also been buying in bulk with kind of the same thing in mind. So since we don't know any of the specifics yet, the best way to prepare right now is just, I think, have a lot of everything so you got your workers covered.
Yes, okay. So it sounds like you're more focused on making sure you have enough workers for all your land. Um, do you think it may be one summoner kind of per occupied land that may need to be worked?
Again, that's really hard to tell right now. All the details are still up in the
Yep.
air. I think summoners will come into play somehow in some important way, so it can't hurt to have a large stockpile of summoners. Um, I've been focusing more on the monsters myself because the common monsters are much cheaper than the summoners,
Yeah.
but I do have a large stockpile of summoners as well. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm prepared for just about any scenario that might come up.
Yeah, I'm with you. One thing too, so what we kind of know, I think it's a good enough assumption that um, I want to say the workers that you use, its collection power will probably give you an idea of how good of a worker it will be, or like a bigger boost. So a max level gold foil is going to be a lot better than just like a regular foil, level one.
Yep,
Um,
that's the reason.
right now I'm showing kind of the gold foils, max gold foils, because I will kind of touch on recently. I think every day I'll take a look at this page and see what the prices are for just like a max level gold foil. Typically, you'll see the reward cards as the lowest prices because they have the highest supply. And this is what I've actually been eyeing in terms of I think anything that's around $15 for a max level card, I've been snatching. Max level gold foil reward card. So right now you'll see if you take a look at the page, I think the lowest price is $25. It's kind of funny because earlier this morning, there's at least six or seven max level reward cards that were under 20 bucks, and they're all gone. I happened to buy two heat smiths, the gold foil heat smiths for 8 bucks each, max level, and that's, I mean, I don't think you can beat that. I know, even again, Matt said a couple town halls ago that during the town hall he wasn't listening to a question because he was buying max level gold foils because he said there's never going to be enough. So now with that being said, I hope you guys leave some for me later down the road and you don't buy them before me. But
Me
I,
too. I need
I
to bulk up still as well.
yeah, but like anything that's a max level gold foil, even if it's just a common under 15 bucks, I can't beat that. So that's what I've been eyeing up. In terms of cards. We don't really know, if a certain card is going to have a bigger effect on a piece of land based off the splinter it is, based off its abilities. That's again still speculation. I'd imagine that'd be kind of cool to see something later down the road, but we're not sure. I know Danger Bald was asking a question about buying cards that specifically cards that happens because of things that happened in their lore. I'll admit I haven't caught up on our lore at all, so I'm not really sure. Which ones we've covered, which ones we haven't. But that'd be also something cool that we see kind of have an effect if it is lore related and it has like a certain boost. So still a lot of unknown, but I mean, at least it is. I do want to comment on the cubes. I'm glad you're going to use them as land workers because that's like, I think that's the card that I hate the most in the game currently. Um, it's just not fun to play against, and I
I
I
love it.
kind of wish they were all
I
burns,
love the
but
cube
if they're
factor.
locked away in land, then I'll take that. That's a good alternative.
Mhm.
But yeah. So with that being said, I do also want to touch on too. So with you created the whole brawl system, and the gladiator system. Are
Yeah.
you focused on? Do you have an account kind of playing in brawl so you can try to get as many gladiators as possible as well? Because it's been told that gladiators are going to be good land workers too. I assume they'll have a little bit better boost than normal cards. So has that been something you've been acquiring as well?
Yep, I think with the brawl system, we definitely want to have brawls tie into some other aspects of the game in some ways, and land seems like a logical way to do it. So I do want the gladiator cards to be usable as land workers and have some nice benefit there beyond what normal cards provide. And I do play brawls with my main Cryptomancer account. I'm in the Roaring Twenties Guild, which is led by Matt Clark, and I try to participate in just about every brawl that happens. So I'm not the best player in the world. I don't usually win a lot of my matches, but you can always find me in there slugging away and doing my best to pick up those gladiators.
Well, good thing gladiators aren't dependent on your performance. Maybe that's why it was built that way. But yeah, I think it's something cool to touch on too, because I know there's been a lot of discussion on people that do play brawls, whether it's worth buying the stones to increase your legendary chances or your gold foil chances. And I think the numbers say it is worth it. But again, you do have to have like the building levels to even unlock those. I will say I've not bought any stones because I've been just trying to acquire, build the quantity rather than having more of like a quality. Because I'd rather, again, with me for having two regions, I think I just need to worry about more of having enough workers from the get go, and then I can build from there. So that's what I've been doing. I do also have a gold foil account that I've been playing brawls with as well. So I'm not sure since gladiators are soulbound. I'm not sure how it's going to work if I wanted to make use of those gladiators, but that'll be a concern down the road. I guess better safe stocking up more right now. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool to see how big of an effect they have, and maybe it'll go beyond just having uh, land workers. I mean, maybe we could have brawls on our land on specific buildings, and that could have another effect. Well, home in a way. advantages that we currently see. So
Another idea I've been pushing for with the brawls is an expansion of the guild store. So right now, there's only 4 items that you can buy in the store, but it was originally imagined that the store would have tons of stuff for sale and a wide variety of things. And I think we want to have a mix of things available that you can buy with crowns, merits, and also vouchers. And it would be great if some of those things in the future were to tie into land, um, especially as you get to the higher levels of the store. Like this is all pure speculation on my part, but I was talking about this with Pluck just last night, and he's one of our economy designers. And I was saying it would be really awesome if, when you reach store level 10, like the pinnacle of your guild achievement, what if you could buy some super uber powerful artifact that you could put on your land somewhere? Maybe something like a unique land building that you could construct, or some special building resource that you can get in no other way. Because I really want there to be some special reward at the end for guilds that actually manage to reach level 10. So the guild store is something that's being very underutilized right now. So I'd look to see that expanded a lot more in the future and have some possible land tie-ins.
yeah, that sounds cool. I know the whole kind of like guild system, brawl system has kind of been left untouched for a bit because it hasn't been as much of a priority. But now, again, as you mentioned, we have that bandwidth with team members. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get some attention pretty soon, and that would be cool to see this store kind of be expanded beyond just gladiators because that's kind of all it is right now. Um, and I think it'll be
Yeah,
cool too, like do you foresee being in a guild having an effect on lands and maybe having either it's like a guild bonus or even having like some type of guild gameplay? I don't know if gameplay is the right word, but everyone within the guild, depending on how many plots they have, where it's at, could that potentially have an effect too on just harvesting production stuff or just on the game itself?
possibly. I mean, this is pure speculation at this point. There's no concrete plans whatsoever. But I would love for guild buildings to have a physical location on the land. Like maybe there's the actual, you actually have to travel to your guild arena to have a battle or something.
Yeah.
Or there's, this, there's all sorts of things we can do with tying in physical placement to guilds in land somewhere. And just like guilds give benefits, discounts for things purchased in the Splinterlands shop, you could also imagine similar sorts of discounts or bonuses to land production from being in a guild. But like I said, that's all total speculation on my part. No concrete plans at this point.
Yeah, I should have just that like disclaimer on every single layout for my stream. Just disclaimer: nothing's finalized. This is all speculating. But yeah, that's a good point, and I do think that'd be cool to see how that expands. A simple thing too is just kind of identifying, who owns a certain plot, and then maybe what guild they're a part of. So if you looked at the whole continent as a whole, it'd be kind of cool just to see, what guilds may have the biggest chunk of Pretoria compared to others, and I don't know. Guilds are all about, power and uh, having like the top rank. So I do think comparing land is going to be right up there. I already know a few guilds already trying to recruit, land owners specifically. So who knows? Like I said before, possibilities are endless. So you never really know how it's going to be built out. So that's about Cryptomancer. I know for you, it's morning and you're just starting your workday. Um, because I do. So you live in Japan, and I'm not sure if everyone knows that. But so I don't want to take all your time. And I just want to. I guess I'll take a few seconds for anyone that's currently watching, if they have any quick questions they may want to ask, just to quickly get them out there. In the meantime, Cryptomancer, is there any kind of last final thoughts that you want to leave with everyone, or is anything that you want to touch on that we haven't covered already?
Um, I'd say just one thing I want to mention. So I've seen some people in Discord being maybe a little bit impatient about the pace of progress, saying that they expected things to go a little faster. Um, and to that, I would just say that a lot has been going on behind the scenes that people don't necessarily see because it hasn't been released yet. And getting to land is a journey with multiple steps along the way. And one of those first big steps is tech modernization. So that phrase has been bandied around a lot, kind of in town halls and whatnot. And what it really means is that we need to improve kind of the framework of Splinterlands, the scaffolding, if you will, that exists behind the scenes to make the game actually work. We want that to be robust and scalable and able to support the land expansion, which is a huge expansion to the game. So we're almost at the point now where we have that technological underpinning in place. The land team has been focusing on that over the last months, and it's all almost ready to roll out. So, kind of step one, the first big step on the journey has been accomplished. And after that, the next thing we need in place is the non card market. So, we need people to be able to trade their land plots. And especially once they're revealed, you want to be able to trade them and do things with them and have a market for them. And it's important that that functionality is in place before land can actually launch. So we have these big milestones along the way that we need to achieve to get there. And although the tech modernization aspects of that have not really been user facing so far, we've made a huge amount of progress in that area. So very soon, I think people are going to start seeing the actual fruits of that labor. So when people say when land, it's not like we haven't been doing anything. We have been doing a lot. It's just that not much of it has been user facing up to this point, but that is about to change soon. So from a user's point of view, I think people are certainly going to see the momentum starting to snowball as we get into the second half of the year. Good things come to those who wait, and land is worth the wait, believe me.
Yeah, and I mean, that's coming from probably the biggest individual owner. And again, I know it sounds bad to see it still a few months down the road, but I think everything we talked about, it takes time. And just like the whole vision that the team has, I mean, it's going to be huge. It's going to be its own separate game. Um, and if only people kind of realize what was actually being worked on in the background, and rather than having just completely being focused on when it's going to be released, I think they would kind of understand, why we're on the timeline that we are. So I'm with you. It's definitely going to take some time, but I think it's going to be well worth the wait. I do want to touch on just a few questions before let you go. The Chuny Modern Wild format that's actually being tested, not really related to land, but I did just want to touch on that. So we should be testing that soon, and I'm not going to give a time frame on that, but that's right around the corner. Um, Blewett did have a good question on like, what are your aspirations for castles and keeps in terms of its functionality or how you imagine, those are going to play a role within like the tract and region? You have any thoughts on that?
That's one of those things that's still up in the air and hard to get specific about. But my impression from what I've seen of the planning so far is that castles are going to provide some kind of economic benefit for the region owner. Um, like maybe when goods produced within that region are sold, the castle levies kind of like a tax on it for the region owner or something like that. So whoever controls the castle will get some kind of additional economic benefit. But I can't really get into any specifics of how that's going to work yet.
Yeah, I know that's been tossed around. And I know it's probably the whole kind of realm of being able to upgrade your castle for bigger boosts, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think there's still a lot of unknown. I've been pushing. I think it'd be cool to see titles maybe have a play in keeps and castles, and potentially giving your title to like that keeper castle, and that could be some type of land utility. But again, just
Titles
kind of
are definitely intended to produce some tangible benefit at some point. Um, Again, what that benefit is going to be is not completely decided, but we do want titles to be more than cosmetic. They will provide something at some point.
yep. And that should be all part of the non-card market, correct? Titles.
That's right. Yeah, non-card market means being able to trade other things like the titles in land and other game resources that are not cards.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people forget about those. I honestly I do too, until I see one in game. But that's what I think a lot of us that have gotten into some of the pre-sales and have been holding those, be really cool to see an actual utility for them rather than just, again, like you mentioned, cosmetic.
Yep, agreed. I've got quite a few titles piling up myself, so I'd like to put them to work.
Yeah, I bet. The Chuny is just asking, can you build buildings like a keep on your plot if you do not get one? No. So there's a fixed amount of keeps and castles. I believe, what is it, 150 castles total, one for each region, and then there's gonna be 1350 keeps total, and
Yeah,
that's the number. That's just like the fixed number. So it's one per tract for a keep, one castle per region. So nine keeps, Oh my God, it's hard to say. Nine keeps and one castle per region. And then one tract in that region is going to be the lucky one with the castle. But that's all it's going to be. So if you only have an individual plot, you just gotta kind of hope that you get that one plot in the tract that's either a keep, and then maybe that plot in the tract that's the castle. Just going to be RNG based right there. What will the punishment for a regicide be? Asking for a criminal friend.
punishment for regicide. You get thrown in the dungeon, never to emerge again.
Yeah, we'll just we'll ignore the danger ball going forward. So, but good questions. All right, like I said, Manser, appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us. Again, I'm sure everyone's loves hearing from you. And I know I only see I've been working with you for Modern Wild, so can't wait for that. But I also can't wait once you get your hands on some land development and uh, what happens there. I hope to also have you later down the road once we're a few months from land, or maybe a few months into land, and just kind of discuss again strategy and what we're looking into, and just it'll be kind of a whole different stream from going from just purely speculation to what is in stone and what we're working on.
Yep, definitely. I'm really looking forward to having some more concrete details available as we get closer and to getting my feet wet in land development myself. It's one of the most exciting things that I think is coming down the line for Splinterlands. And I'm just really happy and thankful that I'm here and get to be a part of it. And it's been great being on the show and talking with you, and kind of rekindles the old land excitement for me for sure.
Yeah, and that's the whole goal. I want this to, I want people to keep that hype, and I want this also to be a resource for new people that are learning about land. So, yeah. So thanks, Manser. Thanks for taking the time to be on here. I will be staying on just a little few more minutes, guys, just to go over just prices, stuff like that. So if people want to stay, feel free to. But until then, thanks again, Manser, for your time, and look forward to seeing Modern Wild and what you've done with that.
All right, then I will say goodbye here. So enjoy your day or evening wherever you are, and thanks again for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one. All right. Can you guys hear me now? Maybe. All right. Thank you for pointing that out. I was just talking to myself for a minute, so it's always fun. But yeah, so that was Cryptomancer. It's crazy to have him on the show. After even having Matt and Neil on the show just the last time. So between Neil, Cryptomancer, myself, I mean, I think that's at least 5 to 6% of Pretoria um, locked up. So I'm kind of hoping that you guys kind of feel the excitement as like the biggest holders in the game, how they're still looking forward to it. And I know Mancer even said that he sold a few plots. I'll admit I sold a few plots too when the prices were a little higher, but I mean I've also bought everything back too. So the fact that we're still kind of holding on strong for land should give you that whole sentiment that that's just how excited we are. And I say that every time. There's not really any new words for it, but land's gonna be huge. If you don't understand that, then you may miss the boat. But yeah, so I just want to take a few minutes to kind of go over prices and where we're at currently. I think it'd be kind of cool to compare after every stream. I know. So my last stream I think was like about a month ago, and I think prices were just relatively fair. Probably around 300, I think, at the time. Now with the current state of the market, definitely took a plunge. So now we're sub 200, which on Hive Engine right now we're around 185. I think that's about average recently. I did notice that on Atomic Hub here we had a region sold just today for 100,000. I did see, I think a week or two ago, I think I saw another one that was sold for about 90,000. But I mean, that's kind of insane compared to last summer when regions were close to, I think the highest was around 700,000. And I was actually kind of thinking maybe I should sell one. Things I could do with that amount of money would be crazy, but I didn't. So that is what it is. But I don't have any. I mean, I definitely foresee prices going back up there once again. Functionality is in play. There's going to be a lot of demand. And again, I'll touch on once you guys kind of understand what is being worked on in the background, and how land is going to be integrated into kind of like everything going forward. The same with how the team keeps saying that SPS and vouchers are going to be integrated into all the new cool stuff going forward. I mean, land's going to be right in there too. So if you don't have land, you may want to look into it. I'm not going to say you should buy it. There will be opportunities to like rent land, but it's just something you want to keep on your radar for sure. And I think right now prices are probably at the best. Not sure if the best they'll be. They could drop some more though, but they're looking very good. I will admit I have not bought any new land recently. Kind of sad to say that, but I have been just purely focused on land workers. And with like the new ranked reward system, it's definitely getting a little easier to acquire DEC to buy those workers. But I think that's the place I'm lacking the most right now. Just not having enough well leveled or gold foils to work on my land. But we have time. We have plenty of time. Just looking at a quick question here. What do you think is a good price for a plot from the Chuny? Honestly, I didn't think we'd break 200. I thought 200 would kind of be our limit, but as you can see right now, there's one sold on here on Atomic Hub, which is the Wax blockchain for 165 about. That's probably the lowest for a bit. I mean, I think these are tremendous prices for a plot because again, there's only 150,000 out there. There's no plans to make any new ones, and you're also getting a claim. So that claim could be any type of plot in the game when you reveal it. So I could see commons maybe being this price once reveals are out. Or maybe the land hype's going to push the price much higher. So commons may not even drop this low. But I mean, I remember I paid about $500 plot. I'm right there with you, Luthien. $500 a plot. I think over the winter because I thought that was low. And now look where we are. I mean, I bought a tract just a few months ago for 30,000. 'cause I thought that was low, and I think there's a tract on Atomic Hub for about 12,000 right now. So I think these prices are very appetizing, and I don't know. I may scavenge some more up pretty soon. Time will tell. With that being said, though, too, I did want to just go over the two little eye candies that Nate dropped on us. So this was kind of cool because the past, I would say, couple months, we haven't really had any kind of new visuals. I know Nate shared some backgrounds of what the like different land types may look. But this was the first time we actually get to see like the actual land's deed in the card. That so in game when you do the whole reveal, this is what you'll see when that happens. Like what type of land it is, what category it is, what rarity it is. Um, just note, so like the placeholders here for the like text, those are just placeholders. They probably don't have any significance right now. This is all just concept arts, but I think this is like a good visual of what we can expect as we get closer. So I will say I think it's cool to see they did label Pretoria. So even though we've been saying there's not going to be any new lands, they did mention that there's not just Pretoria like in the world. It's only one of the continents. I think there's five or six other ones based off like the whole lore. But they did mention that when you look at like the highest level view, that it may be like Pretoria and also the other continents because they could still, even though we're not gonna I'm not going to say we, but even though like the team says they're not going to release any more land, they could make use of all those other continents for potential gameplay. And so labeling that on here is kind of cool because again, there's just a lot of opportunities out there. I'm not sure what the numbers would be. I don't really want to speculate too much there. Could be coordinates, could be like the plot number in the tract. Not really sure. But that'd be kind of cool too. Again, just based off like location. And then like the name here, Farborough, Krogstrom. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to see if that's like the name of the region you're in. So again, if you're able to kind of customize as a region holder, the name of your whole region, it'd be kind of cool to see like Brybro's region. I gotta think of a much better name than that, but you get the whole picture. So yeah, I just want to show these because I thought these were cool. And again, the difference between like an unoccupied, occupied, showing what building you have on it. Um, and there's even for like the magical, you got your splinters in here too, if you haven't noticed. So this one's like a dragon magical resource. Um, so just like having a simple card, there's a lot of like small details, which I did. I like the hills and like the forestry above. So I just want to touch on that. I thought it was really cool to for Nate to drop these, and I think it'll be cool if he continues to share more down the road and kind of gives us a little bit more to speculate on and how it's going to look. But I mean, I really hope I get a lot of these legendary overflowing hills because it is legendary, and any legendary is going to be awesome. Um, so yeah, so that was the most of it. Gonna look. So if you guys have any questions, I'm hitting my hour mark now. Trying to be a little more strict on the time because I know I get carried away because I could talk uh, all day. I do like Bribroria or Boroville. All right, gotta keep it short for me so I can actually say it right because I have an issue with talking. But yeah, if you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to ask them now. I do want to going forward. I would like to have like a little AMA session in case people do have kind of last minute questions. Again, it's going to be hard to answer anything until we get actual details, and I can answer with facts rather than speculation. But can do my best for now. I think my next land stream I'm eyeing to be the last week of June. And I do think the guess for that is going to be Moriarty, 95. If you may have heard of him or not, he was one of the top buyers for Chaos Legion. He's been one of the OGs since the beginning of the game. And I think it'll be interesting to get his takeaway and what he's looking forward to, what he's preparing for. And then again, as we go down and get closer to land, I want to not just only have big players and get them on the show. I want literally anyone that's a landholder or a landowner on the show because I think everyone's perspective is going to be unique, and I think it'll be something that everyone can learn from. So, everyone that's watching here, if you have at least one land plot, don't be surprised if I reach out, ask you if you want to be on, or if you just want to reach out and ask if you want to be on too. Feel free to, because that's just the whole point of the stream, to be a resource for everyone to learn from. So don't be shy. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. um, but yeah, Dragons asked saying we should get some complicated Discord server land roles. I will touch on that. I definitely, again, once we get closer, I do want to push for a Land Mavericks channel. That may be a little too seclusive though. So I do think having a simple kind of landowner, I don't know. I don't know how that would be, what we label those, like an explorer, pioneer. You know, if you only have a few plots, but it'd be kind of cool to see your rules based off your holdings too. Um, yeah, there's a lot of few things we could do there. I see a last minute question coming in. The Chuny, are you thinking you can make a living from owning land, as in no day job? That's a tough one to answer. I mean, ideally, I think that'd be awesome, but realistically, I'm not sure. I mean, if you look at the card market right now, I think that's the biggest thing we could do is kind of compare to, for instance, like how the card rentals are doing. So if you look right here right now, so rentals we're at about 4,700 daily, and I would say this is probably on the low end for card rentals. They've kind of haven't been doing as great as before the new ranks reward changes. But with that being even like said, 4,700 is not terrible. So like for myself, it's going to depend on the perks of actually working land versus renting. If I can even, work all the land that I have, I'll definitely probably be renting out a good amounts because I think that passive income is going to be nice and allow me to, expand on my land workers, buy totems, buy more land. Who knows? But I do think it's going to be a nice passive income, and I think it's just going to be like how the current game is right now, where you can either use the land yourself, um, and play with it and like earn from actually working it and crafting stuff, or you can just simply rent it out. I think there's going to be a demand for both, so that's something we'll touch on as we get closer and once we get those details. Baron saying that would be amazing, but what's happening now makes me very cautious to make a jump. Like everyone has their own risk tolerance. That is true. And again, with the whole market, you can't, no one can say what's going to happen next. All I can say, like the team mentioned in the town hall, that the whole Splinterlands team is they're still grinding. Even with the state of the market and prices, it's really not having any effect on the team. So everyone's churning out what they're working on, and I think that's like the biggest takeaway you should have. That there's no plans on stopping this game. Just saying that is kind of foolish because they've came this far. I think they have enough funds to last quite a while, and they're gonna keep working on this until they finally build the game that they've envisioned. So I think that's huge. Again, land is gonna be huge. I can't say it enough. It's gonna be big. So yeah, so I think that's good. So I appreciate everyone that's joined here. Thanks for tuning in. I will be posting this recording on YouTube. So if you want to share it or get back to it, feel free to. But like I said, I think last week of June's going to be eyeing up my next stream. And maybe we'll have some new eye candy, new details for that. So until then, take care, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying the game, the new ranked rewards. And we'll talk to you later. Have a good night, everyone.